there. Welcome to the Disco Garden. Yes, it's a secret little club in Middle Tennessee where bounty grows unbelievably. Do you want to take a peek on the inside? I know the bouncer, I can get you in. Come with me. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I figured I'd give you a quick little tour on what this club has to offer and what we're growing this season in 2024. So I guess let's go down the main entry here. I'll get you over to the other side because we have another gate over there. Not as cool as our moon gate, which was inspired by an Instagrammer by the name of Cara Moon Gardens. Really awesome channel. You should check her out if you can. But ultimately, we kind of adapted, made it a little bit bigger just so it fit our gate, and it's gorgeous. We reused material. Here, let me show you. So this past spring, when all of our neighbors were cutting down their different trees in their yard, they put it by the curb to get taken away for free by the city. And we just went around and kind of foraged some and built this with a little bit of cattle panel. I don't know if you can kind of see. There's like a cattle panel, and then we just weaved the stuff over top. Anyway, back to what I was going to show you. So let's scurry on this way. All right, so typically we come in from here, and this is where we have our first pollinator garden. This garden typically has medicinal plants, edible plants, and then just a bunch of flowers. We tend to try to keep as many perennials as possible, but there are some annuals that we mix in because they're just awesome. So as you can see, we have our echinacea, we've got our nasturtium, which is edible. We have some lavender, which is just trying to get started this year, some salvias, and then this was a half price plant that I got that just, oh my goodness, look at this bloom. When it puts a bloom on, it is just, oh my gosh, it is just beautiful. This one's not blooming, but we're trying to figure it out. And then back here we have our borage, which is also another plant that we typically will pop all over the garden, and yes, they do volunteer. And then down here, I just discovered today, because I forgot what I planted, because I mixed a lot of seeds in here, and some took off and some didn't, but this is sorrel, which is awesome. It's another edible herb that you can make teas and all kinds of stuff out of. Check out my Instagram. I do a reel on sorrel and how you can use it. I also popped some back there. We did have some hollyhocks here. They were gorgeous. It was a year or two, they were finally blooming, but they just got covered in rust. So I'm trying to reset this area and try to figure out another plant to put there in its place. And then likewise, you don't see it now. Well, you might be able to see it. Let me get down in here. We do have some seedlings popping up of some calendula. I had some extra packs of seeds, so I put that in. As you move over here, again, the same thing. Just trying to pack it full of as many plants as we can, just because we don't want to have to deal with that. But nonetheless, this is kind of like our watering. A lot of our watering stuff's here, but this is kind of our water controls for our irrigation. And we just upcycled some bricks to make like a little patio area. But then over here, we have some borage, some zinnias. This is some chicory that we're trying this year to see if we can get the root and make like a coffee additive or coffee substitute. Here we have anise. Here we have chamomile, which is just about to start blooming, which is freaking awesome because I can never get chamomile to work here. I don't know if it's the heat or what. We popped in some half price rosemary and lavender. Lavender looks like it's kind of on the rough side, so we'll see how that goes. I have a repurposed Russian sage back there because we bought a bunch of that and it didn't do well where it was. So I just keep throwing it in different areas of the yard, hoping that it'll come to. Another salvia. This is probably like a year 3 salvia, and it's doing fabulous. and again, nasturtium. So that's pretty much our main pollinator bed in the garden. And it's a building process, so we'll see how that goes over time. Then when you pan over here, this is where we have our tomato arch, which we are trying to create vertical gardening to see. Now, one thing we did learn is that this particular orientation might not be the best, but then there's some benefits to it that we might start exploring this summer. So for example, this bed runs north to south, which isn't really the best because then you do create shade pockets halfway through the day. However, and that's why we're having trouble growing stuff at the base of our tomatoes. However, I just saw a reel today where you can do lettuces, and we might be able to do some summer lettuce on this side, and that would be pretty awesome in my opinion. But things that we're trying to grow at the base currently is things like carrot, basil, nasturtium. I think I've got some parsley in here, possibly even some dill. And it's chugging along, it's just not doing optimal. And oh my gosh, look at all of these tomatoes. So we did do a pretty heavy pruning on these not too long ago to again take out some of the thicket and also to just get some air in there and bring them off the ground just to kind of make sure that there's no disease, and also to get them to keep going up. And they're really starting to get some growth on them, and it's looking really nice. Over here is our peppers, onions, basil beds, etc., etc. And so yeah, so right here, these two plants right here are actually compost waste that started sprouting, and so they're kind of an experiment that look like they're doing really well. I think they're shallots, if I'm not mistaken. So we do have a couple shallots growing right here, again straight from the compost when they started sprouting. This bed right here is for our hot peppers. We try to, being that they can cross-pollinate, we try to keep them all kind of in a similar area. So as you can see, we've got some gorgeous cayennes. This is a year 2 overwintered red jalapeno, and that was also an experiment. We only had 1 of 3 survive, but as you can see, it is loaded with jalapenos and they are looking really good. At first, we didn't think that this experiment was worth it because a lot of our other peppers started putting on fruit just as quickly as this. But I am noticing that the amount of peppers on it is looking really good. So we might just continue on with this little experiment of overwintering different types of peppers and whatnot. All right, and then on the ends, I try to cap the ends just because it's a good space to do like potted plants and other little things. But I've got one of my favorite flowers. I ended up scoring this one on sale. It's a Proven Winners Bubblegum Supertunia, and that's like one of my favorites. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the color, how it grows. But since I saw it on clearance, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that in a pot and just add a little splash of some pollinator fun to kind of the end cap of the bed. We also typically will do our Minton pots on the ends of our beds as well, so that we're really maximizing our space in getting bounty. But overall, this bed's looking really good. It looks like the onions are starting to kind of take on some growth. We've got a nice little lemon basil or lime, I think it's lemon basil in here. Lemon basil is like one of my favorites. It makes all basils make phenomenal tea, but lemon basil in particular is just absolutely amazing. And last year we didn't really cut as much. Like you can see right here, this is about to bud. You can take those buds off and also use them in tea, and they are just phenomenal. So I am a big fan of that basil. But yeah, we do have a lot of cayennes in here. I'm looking to make some spice. So we definitely planted up a lot of that. You'll also notice that we will leave our dandelions. They are huge, and clover. But dandelions in particular, because you can make a coffee substitute out of them, as well as eat the greens in salads. So, I mean, if they're going to grow, I'd rather this grow than Bermuda grass. So I let it ride. You know what I'm saying? He is always welcome at the disco garden party. You know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. So, right next to our pepper bed, and a lot of this is going to probably change next year just for crop rotation, but we've got a hodgepodge here. I called this our, like, kind of our dogs gourmet area, because a lot of what we grow in here is for the dogs. Obviously we eat it too, but it's also great for the dogs. So first and foremost, we load the whole bottom with carrots. We typically tend to like things like ox hearts, Parisian. We like the smaller carrots. We do a little bit better with them than the long carrots for whatever reason. So that's what we load kind of the bottom with, to also act as kind of like a cooling green, like manure, not manure, but like a green mulching sort of situation. And within that, we also have some perennial sorrel. As I had mentioned before, I love sorrel. Sorrel is a great lemon substitute. We actually just took a piece of a fillet of salmon yesterday and wrapped it in the leaves of this. And oh my gosh, it was amazing. I mean, that's all I have to say. It was really good. Very versatile plant. You can dry it. You can make teas out of it. It's just really good, and it's perennial. It's very hardy. Like, we had ours growing during the winter in Tennessee, so we were able to pluck from it and get tea and whatnot. So if you can plant something in your garden, that's a good one to plant. We also put in some lovage. So lovage is kind of like a great plant as like a celery substitute, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest celery fan, and the grow on it takes a really long time. This is an herb. I think it's an herb, or it's a plant that can act as an herb, where you might not get those celery stalks that you can eat with peanut butter and whatnot, but if you're looking for a celery flavor, just the flavor, you can take these leaves, you can chop them up fresh, you can dry them. Same thing with the stalk. This is pretty much what the stalk looks like, and treat it as if you're using it for a celery flavoring. So we've added a couple little spots in this bed of this, and it's doing really well. And then also, last but not least, in this particular bed are our trailing beans. We have tried, ooh, look at that. We have tried green beans before, but they don't really do well in the south. Once it gets really hot, the beans just stop putting on buds and flowers, and so we just don't really get anything. However, we do asparagus bean or long bean, which creates this 3-foot long green bean looking thing. It tastes like green beans. You can snap it into smaller sizes, so it's just like green beans. Our dogs love these. We love these. They grow hardy all summer long. So that's our bean of choice, and it works out great. And it's great for freezing. So as you're picking throughout the whole season, pop these in the freezer. You'll have a bounty all winter long. It's a really great plant. And it's beautiful. This particular variety we got from Baker's Creek Seeds this year. But we do still have some of our beans from last year that we saved the seeds on, because it really is just an all-around good producer. Now, if we pan over to this bed is our, at this point, bush beans, cucumbers, dill, things like that. Now, this bed at one point was filled to the brim early season with arugula, and that did phenomenal. Arugula is going to be a staple in my garden in bulk going forward. We got tons of greens for salads, but then when it bolted, we were able to take those bitter leaves, dry them, and use them as an herb spice, which is just, it's really good. It has a great peppery flavor and whatnot. Once the arugula was done, we cleared that out. That's when our bush beans really took off. So on this side, we have black beans. On this side, we have pinto beans. What's odd is we thought they were bush beans, and maybe they are, but yeah, I had to put in some makeshift trellising for now, just until, the cucumbers are done, to support these beans, because they seem to not be the bush bean variety, maybe? I don't know. Oh, real quick, check this out. Look at this guy. So chilling on our dill, we've got a little garden guest. A little disco friend, so to speak. I've been watching him grow. This is a black swallowtail. They love dill. He will munch on this dill, but you know what? I put enough bounty of dill everywhere in the garden that he's allowed to chill there and become a beautiful butterfly. So we did just recently, oh look, there's a cucumber. Look at that cucumber. We've been doing pickling cucumbers, but I think that's going to be the last year. I think next year we're going to do something a little different. But, we just used the seeds that we had from last year. And so far it's been doing really good. We've gotten some stuff from it. I did do recently a pruning similar to what Pawpaw Ridge on Instagram suggested. And it's working really well for our plants, but we also lost a couple in the process. And I think it might just be because those particular plants were not getting the sunlight like the others. And then when they got exposed, it kind of maybe cooked them a little bit. All right, so over here, this was supposed to be our sweet potato bed. Here, let me come on this side. And again, as you can see, we've got mint all along the outside of our beds. This was supposed to be our sweet potato bed. We could not find sweet potatoes to save our potukas when we were trying to get this bed planted. More on that later. But so we pivoted and decided to use all the extra starts that I had for our peppers. And then we were like, well, what else is a companion with that? So this bed ended up becoming a hodgepodge. It's actually working out really well. So we've got our pepper plants in here, and these I think are ending up to, I think these are more of kind of like a milder pepper, either milder or like a almost sweet sort of thing. Like I think those are Bajos. I think that this might be, oh, I can't remember what I planted. See, this is where I need plant tags. Anyway, but we also put in our cowpeas because they did really well last year. We put in some carrots, we put in some dill. So it's a hodgepodge, but it's doing really well. This is the only area that just has like a gap, but again, we've got a cowpea that's starting to come in. So yeah, so there's that bed. Oh, also, in every bed, not every bed, but part of our infrastructure that we like to do is we like to put in these vermicompost bins where you can just put your compost down in there. We stock them full of worms, and then we just let it sit all season, and then we get our worm castings that we can literally throw into that bed. It also is great because as the worms move throughout the bed through the season, they're compost and fertilizing it for us, so it makes for a really good soil mix. In these beds, particularly in our annual beds, we have irrigation that we run to each using like a soaker hose, and that's been working really, really well for us, and some PVC that kind of takes them to each bed. In these beds over here, I'll show you what we do for them. This tends to be a little bit more of like a perennial based kind of grow, and or it's just tricky for us to get irrigation over there, so we have other methods. But essentially every bed has these vermicomposts in it. One thing we are planning to do infrastructure wise is, now we've already got really good kind of trellising in play. Not every bed has it, but that's removable. And we have a pretty good stock of that to where as we rotate our crops, we can move them around. But we do want to put in some infrastructure on the edges of the bed where we can use PVC pipe to create little tunnels, whether that's for shading, whether that's for bug control, or whether that's for frost protection. And we're going to plan on putting that on every bed just so that you have it there, whether you use it or not. It's there, you know, and I think what we're going to do is do little caps that you just screw to the top that fit the PVC pipe, and then have the material ready to go, whether it's bed sheets or it's tulle or it's whatever, you know, and then you can string that on to kind of protect your plants. This bed, so in the spring, this bed was our spinach bed, and other leafy greens and whatnot. As we move into the summer, it has become, I'll come on this side real quick, it has become our watermelon bed for the most part. On the back side of our watermelons, which we're doing, I think, strawberry watermelons, so we'll see how that goes, because I think that creates a really big fruit. So who knows if it'll be able to support that or if it'll take over the whole garden, but I digress. But behind it, we do our leeks, which these are our leeks. We grew these from seed and they look like they're doing really well. We also sprinkle in some green onions, which are just now starting to kind of take off. I did load this thing full of green onions. And you'll also notice that we have our 2 spinach plants still chilling here. And that's mainly because I'm looking to get the seeds. And with spinach, gathering those seeds, it's best to let the plant fully kind of die in the ground or turn brown in the ground, and that will allow you to collect those seeds. So that's what we're doing here. On the end here, we've got our tea bush, which you can take these leaves off and you can dry them and make a tea out of them. And below that, we have some chamomile growing as well. I have the worst trouble with getting chamomile to either grow or get to flower. So this year, my method is put it everywhere and maybe something will work out. So that's what I'm doing. And so far, it seems like it's doing pretty good. On these side pots, I've planted stuff and it looks like, you know, like the purple basil is kind of starting to come up here. I think I put marigold seeds in there. I think I put chamomile seeds in there and that didn't come out. I forget what I just put cumin seeds in here. We'll see if it. And last but not least, on this side of the garden, we have our bed that's along the fence line, the outer fence line. This just had our garlic in it. We just pulled our garlic like last month, like a week ago actually. And then yesterday I ended up planting some chard kind of in this area, and then we planted more bush beans along the outer edge, because bush beans, they dry, they're easy. Why not give it a shot? And then we have this little space right here, which is kind of, again, another hodgepodge. I'm trying different things. Last fall, I put crocuses in there, saffron crocuses. They're still in there. We'll see how they do. I got a salvia in there that looks like it's just now starting to bloom. I put some lavender in here. One of the lavenders is doing amazing. The other two, I don't know what it is with me and lavender, but it does not really work out. Anyway, we've got some borage, we've got some nasturtium, because I also just put that stuff all over the garden. I'm thinking though next year, because we're having trouble with our figs out in the yard, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But we're thinking about possibly taking our figs, putting them in a pot kind of like that, and then maybe bringing them into the garden. Like maybe one's here. Buddy. No, not right now. That's one of our garden bouncers. He's making sure that everything's safe. All right, so we're thinking about putting the figs here and here, maybe. I mean, we always change our minds, but that is a possible thought of what to do with them. So stay tuned for that. That might be something new for next year. And then we move over to this side. This side is like, part of it is our new expansion. So it's a year one with some of the infrastructure, but this was here last year. And again, we did garlic over here. This was all soft neck. I probably will not be doing soft neck again just because you don't get the garlic scapes. And I mean, it's all about the garlic scapes. Well, I mean, technically it's all about the bulbs of garlic because they're really good too. But the garlic scapes are really important in my opinion. So I probably won't be doing soft neck. It's going to be hard neck through and through. I'm a hard neck girl. What can I say? But at any rate, so we just pulled that and we did the same thing over here. We did a different variety of chard in the center, and then we did beans around the outside. I think one of these is pinto, one of them's black. You get the idea. I'm going to skip this section for a minute, and we're just going to kind of do a big swap, a big swoop. So over here, this is kind of where some of our perennial garden starts. And this front area is our blueberries and our strawberries. Now this bed is overrun with strawberries. They're not flowering this fall or whatever. We've got to get in there, clear some of that out, because it's just not doing anything. But this is a year one black blueberry. I forget what variety. I'm not good at varieties without actually having it written in front of me. I have a really bad memory. But anyway, it's looking good so far. I don't see any rust on it, and it did have a little bit of cicada damage to it, but it still looks like it's doing okay. I wasn't anticipating anything out of this bush, at least this year. Hopefully next year we really start to see it take off. And then in all of these beds, it's all the same variety of blueberry. Again, I can't remember what that variety is. If I can get it, I will list it below. But this is, I think, our first full year with this one. We did get some fruit. We've eaten most of it, and the rest are just tiny. And then these three are probably our first ever, and they are probably like 3 to 4 years old at this point. Not a lot of fruit this year, and there's a couple reasons probably why. One was that they were not here last year. We've moved these bad boys so many times, but we think this is going to be their final home. Where they were before, they were getting munched on, or excuse me, not munched on. They were getting overrun by Bermuda grass, and we just could not keep up. And so we knew that really the only way we were going to be able to do anything with these babies was to get them in a raised bed. Right now they are netted off because the fruit is just now, I don't know if you can see that or not. But the fruit is just starting to turn, and the birds are ruthless. So that's our method. We will also sometimes net our strawberries because, again, birds are ruthless. And then if you come over here, this is something that we just recently planted. Our friends, when we were helping them move, ended up, they were going to throw away this filing cabinet. I mean, it was white. And we were like, oh, hold on a minute. If you're going to throw it away, let us have it. And so they gave it to us, and we made this awesome planter out of it. I call it the candy shop. As you can see, we ended up painting it with some fun colors and whatnot, and then planted it up with some strawberries. And you can see I'm trying to start some more strawberries from the side shoots that we can then put in other areas of the garden, because one thing I'm noticing is I'm just not getting strawberries like I want, and I think it's because I just have a plant here, plant there, and it really needs to be spread out a little bit more. But man, look at those flowers. Look at that. Look at that. She pretty. Some of them look really healthy and others don't. I mean, it's just the nature of growing. All right, so now we're moving into our 2 rows, what is essentially our berry patch. I like to fill it in with as many herbs as possible because of Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is so aggressive in our area that if it gets any ounce of light, it's going to thrive there. And so I've been really trying to build these beds up with a hodgepodge of all different kinds of herbs. and things that you can eat. Nasturtium you can eat, so I love it. It's a great plant for pest control. Its beauty is nice. You can eat it. It's just all around great. We've got a bunch of sages, some tarragon. This is a pineapple sage. This baby right here is one that I do every year. I don't start it from seed. I buy it from the store. It's an annual. For me, it's worth $5.99 or $4.99, however much it costs to just plant one of these in the garden. It puts off a beautiful red bud, which can be made into tea, but you can obviously take the leaves, dry them out, make them into a tea as well. It tastes like pineapple. It's like one of my favorites. There's like some weird spiritual connection with me and this dang plant. So I make sure to at least have one of these in my garden every year, even if it's not in the same spot. Down here we have some anise hyssop, which has like a licorice flavor. This is a first grow for us this year. I just harvested some. I thought it was really neat that it has a square stem versus typically round stem. And I dried some of this last night. I'm looking to harvest more of this so that I can get up a good bounty of the dried. And then also we've got a little bit of, cilantro. God dang. I'm pretty sure this is cilantro. It could be parsley, but it could also be cilantro. Without tasting it, I don't remember. And then one back here, we have a tiny little sage that probably should be moved, but that's okay. I'm just leaving it there for the season because why not? More sage. And then we've also got some thyme peeked in there. I definitely like, I left the berry patch open. Birds are gonna go crazy. More on that in a minute. Stand by. And then on this side, again, we kind of mimic the same, so to speak, give or take. So you got your hyssop, you've got your sage, your nasturtium, your thyme, which, gosh darn, look at this thyme. Look at this. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Oh, I love the little flowers. They're so pretty. We've got some basil or some borage. I even put some zinnias in here because why not? And then we've also got a little bit of our chamomile down there. How cute is this? Both of these are thrifted at different times, but it's like the tortoise and the hare. I think that's just so cute. So just a little backstory. It's taken us about 4 years to build our garden up to this point. We did not start like this. In fact, we started with just a single box using those pre-made concrete blocks that you like slide boards into. Then we upped our game from there. We built our own boxes out in a really bad part of the yard underneath of a tree. I don't know what we were thinking, but we knew that we were going to be making huge changes anyway with removing trees, running a water line. So we were okay with that year being probably the worst growing year ever. Especially because the dogs got into it was a whole thing. But during that time, we were processing this particular area, doing sheet mulching, cardboard mulch, and really at least getting our berry patch set. So of the existing garden, of this whole space, the oldest areas are the areas that we're in right now, and that is our berry patches. So what we have here is down here is our Sweetie Pie blackberry, which I would say is probably the best blackberry, especially when they get to the perfect ripeness. They are not bitter at all. They are just the sweetest little babies you could ever imagine. And like I just showed you, I'll open it up. We're just now starting to get some that are turning black. Matter of fact, let's see if any of these are ready, because I've been pulling on them. That's a little test. If you pull on them and they pop off fairly easily, let me just get a little bit of that out of there. I don't know what that was. If you just pull them a little bit and they pop right off, they're usually really sweet. So let's see what we got. That one was not right. Let's try another one. Let's Let's see. It's like trying to find just the right ripeness. Maybe these aren't ready yet. Oh, oh. Still feel a little firm. Could have swore maybe they're just not ready yet. Because I don't want to eat them if they're not super duper yummy. But this is a prolific grower. I'll tell you what, if you're looking for something to give you tons of food, blackberries is the way to go. And I'll tell you more about our future plans on all of this that are coming up very soon. Over here we have our grape. This is a Concord grape, and it's doing really well. It's taken about 3, and this also is an older vine. We moved it a couple times, but it's been in this spot probably at least 2.5 years, maybe 3 years at this point. But it's really come into its own. It's got a great trunk at this point, putting on great fruit. We do have to net it from the birds. Trellising's working really well for it. We've learned how to properly prune it, which is really helping out this year, and I think is why we're getting so much more fruit and so much more of like a clean grow. We'll see how the summer goes. But anyway, one thing I would recommend if you do grapes is oregano at the base. It is great for a green mulch. Plus you get the bounty of cutting it and having the fresh herb, but it grows so well. We usually do 1 cutting mid-May, and then we usually have to do like 1 more cutting of it. So you can see there's a couple areas that are kind of patchy, but all in all, it is filled to the brim. We do have a green grape here. This is probably it's definitely the younger of the 2 grapes, but I don't know. It was taller than this, obviously. I cut it back this year. There's the original trunk of it. I cut it back. It just does not look like it's healthy. I cut it back thinking it was dead, and when I trimmed back the oregano, it was growing again. So I guess it's not dead, but it still doesn't look healthy to me. So yeah, we have our Concord, which is great for jams, but it's not really a snacking grape per se. So I don't know, are grapes really worth it? It's fun, but I don't know if it's really, unless you're going to be making wine and all kinds of stuff, it's not really worth it. I did want to mention what we plant underneath of both of our raspberries and our blackberries is we do chives. Chives is a great one to do under your berry patch. Again, it creates this sort of living mulch that just chokes out the crabgrass. We also this year did regular onions, which aren't really getting huge, but they'll be something, you can still eat it even if it's not a huge onion, but we're doing onions in front of that. And then also underneath of our blackberry, and it's going to shock a lot of people, but I'm telling you, it's actually working out and I'm shocked. We do a pineapple mint. Now mint, you never want to put mint in the ground because it will just spread and spread and spread. And this is spreading, but it's so mild because it doesn't get a lot of sunlight that it's really not invasive, at least not here. And it does really well. What else is interesting is that apparently pineapple mint is, it's more of an annual mint from what they say, but like all mints, it's definitely not annual, and it does like to travel. This one, just however, being that it's under here, doesn't really travel very far. Now I have these pots here because I am looking to take some propagations, but we might not, everything I've tried so far with cuttings is not working. Obviously I read that, but I wanted to try it for myself. I wanted to experiment for myself and see if it was true. But it's not working. So I just pull them out when I see that the plant's dead. We may just have to wait until fall to really be able to get in here, and get them. Ooh, we got some berries. So what you're looking for is this right here. Now you can eat these, but this purplish color is going to be the way to go. And the way you can tell, it's similar to what I was doing the blackberries. You just want to do a little tug And if it comes off easy, then you're golden. If it's got a little bit of give to it, it's not ready yet. So let's give these a little taste because they've been off the hook this year. Oh my God. Good gracious. Let's see another one. I'm gonna pull it. Is it ready? Might not be ready. Wow. Wowie wowies. So last year, this patch, we had a garden spider that spun her web across. We named her Beatrice. She was awesome. And we let her chill there all season. She became our guardian of the season. She was in residency. She left when it got cold. I'm sure that was the end of her life cycle. We're hoping she left some babies around so that they magically come back, but it is what it is. I will say though, we have seen some cool bugs in this area. A couple not so cool bugs is there have been a lot of assassin beetles over here, which I get it. They have a place in the ecosystem, but I'm not a fan of them because if they sting you, worse than a bee sting. No, thank you. But we did also, and I have not seen it in like a couple days, but there was a giant moth, probably like this big, that would just kind of chill in this area, and that was fun to watch. I forget what type of moth it is. They definitely like grapevines, so he's probably here because of that. But yeah, really awesome. And then again, we have these beds lined on the ends with mainly hyssop and lavender. What's interesting though is that because this tends to be the because this tends to be the shadiest part of the garden, they just really aren't thriving. So, and because of like how much this bed has creeped out, we've debated maybe turning these into pathways as well, but we're not there yet. And then here's the back side of our garden, just so you can kind of see. Nothing too crazy over here. We use it for storage, some storage. I have tried to bring plants up onto the wall using like little thrifted baskets. And they're kind of cute. It's kind of cute, right? Little cutie patooties. Little cutie patootie petunias. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, so this is a planter that I had at my old apartment because yes, we have been gardening. I mean, technically we haven't had a garden like this, but we have been growing stuff for as long as we can remember in our relationship. We lived in a lot of city living for a while, and this was the planter that we bought so that we could do some herbs out on a back patio, and we just kind of keep it. Now, do I ever get things to successfully grow in here anymore? Not so much. I had zinnias in here. They looked gorgeous, but just as of recently, they've just taken a dump. And so yesterday I took all the zinnias out, and I'm trying to think, could I put chamomile in here? Because seriously, I want some chamomile and I can't seem to get it to flowering stage. Anyway, over here we made a little makeshift area using an old pallet and some old piping that we had. And this is just like a little spot where we try to organize some of our bamboo canes and whatnot. I'm a big fan of bamboo cane. So if there's anyone in Middle Tennessee looking to get rid of bamboo from their yard, hit your girl up. I will be there with my snippers taking some down because you can never have enough of your bamboo rods. Anyway, so moving on, this right here and everything I'm about to show you is all brand new, meaning that we installed the beds in the fall, built them up over the late winter, early spring, and then planted for the first time this year. And boy, did this transform our growing experience. I could not be happier with the results. So this bed, being that we're kind of on a perennial side, we decided to try asparagus for our first time, and it's been doing really well. Now you're probably saying, Amber, why are you not taking these spears down and eating them? Well, because when you start growing asparagus for the first couple of years, it is a long grow, meaning that for it to work out really well, you've got to let those babies marinate in your bed for at least 3 years before you even begin plucking off of them. I know a lot of people will be like, girl, I can't be bothered with that mess. But let me tell you, once these get settled in, it is like food for life. And you don't really have to do a whole lot of labor to get that. So for us, it was worth it to get this bed started. Matter of fact, we've even been talking with some of our upcoming expansions, long-term visions of having more of these, because this could be a great crop to sell as well, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so in the spring, this whole bed was lined beautifully with lettuce. Lettuce does great with asparagus, and being that we have this tree here, this area of the garden tends to get the most shade, and so it worked out great. It was like perfection, and so nonetheless, we're also looking to use that shade aspect to create some additional perfections. Again, it's an experiment, but I think it's going to work pretty well for us, which is we are putting in cilantro. Cilantro is known to bolt in the hot sun. And so we're hoping that we get a little bit more longevity out of our cilantro in this bed than if it was out in the rest of our garden. We also have some parsley in here, and there might, I put dill in here, but I'm not seeing it grow. So there's that. But this bed's doing great. Very excited. We've gotten most of the crowns coming up. We had a surprise crown over here pop up out of nowhere, which I didn't even realize that there was a crown there. So good things are happening in this bed. I'm very excited. Now the piece de resistance is this right here. So this was a lettuce plant. No joke, probably like that big down below. When we harvested, this one still looked good. So we're like, well, let's just leave it. Whether we eat it or not, let's just leave it. And it has grown. Initially, it looked like a Christmas tree. No joke, it was shorter and it kind of had like that cone shape, and it was like our garden Christmas tree, you know, this, that, and the other. But now it is just continuing to grow, and we're leaving it for seed. And it's getting close to that point, which is really cool. That was a big thing for me this year, is learning and trying some skills I've never really done before in mass, to really see what it's like, what's possible, continue to up my game, learning as I grow, if you know what I mean. And seed saving, particularly on more, you know, like not your proverbial like tomato pepper plants, was a big thing for me. And that leads into one of my favorite areas, which I'm gonna try and squeeze through here. And that is, as you see here, our mustard plant. So look at that. Look at that. It's just, I mean, glorious, beautiful. Got a little bee doing his thing. Love it. So we are actually growing this. Well, we first did it for the leaves, which they're kind of spent at this point. I wouldn't eat them. They're eaten up. They're kind of yellow. They're probably bitter as hell. But we are now at a point, ooh, there's a spider on there. We are now at a point where we are going for the mustard seeds. And we're going for it for twofold. One, we're going for it for the spice factor so that we can try to make our own mustard. And you can see the little pods. They're really cute. They're so cute. Look at that. So cute. But then also to save the seeds so we can grow this same mustard next year. And it has just been, it's such a beautiful, look at that. So beautiful in the garden. Like, I'm shook. Again, another plant, first year ever growing it, that is now going to be a staple every year going forward. let me take you around back, because this bed was not just supposed to be, here, I'll go over this way, was not supposed to just be mustard, but it has become the big dog on the block, if you know what I mean. But on the inside, and it is going to be really hard to see, but we've got some cabbage growing in there, which, I'll be honest, has gotten crowded and munched up just the same. And you know what? There's probably not a good chance that we're gonna get cabbage. I'm kind of okay with it at this point, because it is what it is. But we also have some onions, which also probably aren't gonna be the best because they're being shaded out by the mustard so much. But we also had some onions in there. All three of those are great companions together, but I'll tell you what, this has just been so beautiful and so much fun. And the idea of making our own mustard and saving our seeds and learning something, and even the greens, when we were getting the greens, like, it's a no-brainer for me. Like, mustard's got to be a part of a garden going forward, you know what I mean? Okay, so let's move over here. Over here, this currently is our butternut squash, and we're just starting to get some big ones that are popping on, which I'm really happy to see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get anything that ends up eating them. I know that there's different things that you can do with BT, with all different kinds of stuff. I'm honestly, I mean, I'll pick off the squash bug eggs and the squash bugs, but like, I don't know if I'm there yet. You know what I mean? With like going to the extremes to save a plant. Like, if I have to go to the extremes to save a plant, maybe I just don't grow it and I grow things that are a little bit like fruitful. But that's just me. I still like to grow this stuff. Doesn't mean that I won't do those things in the future. I just don't know if I'm really 100% ready to like go to the moon and back for some of this stuff, you know? But anyway, this bed had, while that was kind of doing its thing, like getting, you know, like that big, while it was growing from seed on the inside, the outside layer was filled with turnip greens. We've since harvested, but I'll tell you what, we live in the South, and we learned that that is a good moneymaker. Like, we were getting harvest after harvest of greens, cut and come again. And people down south love their turnip greens. So that's one we're actually thinking about creating a new space dedicated to that, so that we can literally try to make some money off of this garden, because your girl ain't working. So we need some cash flow. Also, what we did was, since most people don't like the roots, we don't have a problem with them. They do have kind of like a different flavor, but they're great. We made turnip fries. That was really good. We've made turnip mashed potato, or turnip mashed turnips. That was really good. So we're cool with keeping the roots if people don't want to buy them. They're easy to freeze. So yes, we will be doing more turnips very soon. Again, another area that is also brand new. This was where our blueberry patch was. So we did blueberries and lemon thyme, which are great companions, but it did not beat what the Bermuda grass had in store for it. So as a replacement, we built 4 beds here. These are not on irrigation. Possibly in the future, we will get them on irrigation, or we might keep these as also perennial beds, and just do some Oya irrigation, which is what I'm about to show you. All right, so real quick, let me step back. These 2 beds here are our medicine beds, or our medicine cabinet, aka the drugs of the club, so to speak, if you want to keep it in the nightclub kind of theme. These were sown indoors in February by seed, and then transplanted out during the height of the eclipse that we had this past year. And then these were actually direct sown by seed in the bed during the height of the eclipse this past year. So I have a little bit of connection to these in like kind of that dance with nature sort of vibe, but all in all, they're doing really well. It's taken a while for this one to kind of take off, but now it's starting to take off, and I'll do a highlight of everything that we have growing in those beds. So in this bed over here, and this looks keeled over, I'm wondering if something got in here, like a cat. But this bed contains purslane, which, if you're not familiar with purslane, it's also a weed that grows in your yard. This variety is, I'm guessing, not the same as that, but they also sell this as an ornamental plant, typically with beautiful, beautiful flowers at the home stores. Essentially, this plant is a great spinach substitute in the summertime. So it's a prolific, it's a very hardy grower. Some say it's invasive. It can be invasive, but it is not hindering the growth of our other plants. So just because something is quote unquote invasive does not mean that it's going to just kill off everything. It's cut and come again, meaning you can cut it back. That makes it bushier, and you can eat every part of this plant. We recently cooked some of this up like you would spinach, sauteed in a pan with butter and with garlic, and it was chef's kiss. You can also dry it. It has the highest omega-3s in any leafy green. And that's really important for our diet. So to me, this is like a superfood that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about when they grow a garden, but it's worth a grow in my opinion. Over here, we've got this beautiful, beautiful yarrow. I went with the double pearly white or something like that from Baker's Creek, and it is doing fabulous. Loving it. Then we've got some mandarina, lemon balm, again, also from Baker's Creek. They have great medicinal herb seeds, by the way. But this is also filling in very nicely. And again, I mean, it's like if the purslane is there, this will find its own way. And I love just how this bed is just flowing. I mean, it's like the whole thing is just filled to the brim. And then right here we have a hyssop. This is rose mint, which is another great herb. It's got almost like a rose flavor to it. So that's really nice. And then in this medicine bed, we have a whole shit ton of stuff. I mean, excuse me, a whole lot of stuff. So right here, we've got some Heal All, which is probably the slowest grower, at least on this side. We have another patch of it right here. Heal All is like great for everything. We've got the toothache plant, which is something that I highlighted on my Instagram, so go check that out if you want to learn a little bit more. Essentially, this helps out with oral health, basically. It acts as like a numbing agent if you have a toothache, but you can also make a mouthwash out of it. You can dry it, blah, 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 all of that. It's great. And it's been a fun grow, and it looks like it's about to put on the flowers, and the flowers are just gorgeous once they come together. We've got some horehound, which is great for throat soreness and ailments. It's a beautiful herb. We've got some marshmallow, which is kind of similar to the hollyhock family, so it can get rust, and let me tell you, mine is already kind of starting to get rust. It is what it is, but essentially you can take the root of this and you can make sweet confections similar to marshmallows. And it's just all around. It's got beautiful white little flowers that start to pop up. Very excited about, very excited about that. Obviously, as you can see, nasturtium and chamomile. I'm throwing it wherever I can, you know. And then on this side, we've got some, we've got some fenugreek, and it is also putting on seed, which I'm really excited about because we can make a spice out of that. Very spiritual plant to have in your garden. And then we also have dandelion because your girl loves her dandelion tea, aka dandelion coffee, which check out my Instagram. I did a thing on that as well. But this one has, I think, like a fun color, and the leaves are supposed to be really great for salads and stuff. So we've got that growing as well. And then over here, this is the other side of the grapes. Because I have this little dead area here, I've popped in some more hyssop, some more rosemary, some more lavender, and a salvia. Again, they look good, but they're not growing, and I think it's because of the shade. So they'll probably be moved. We're trying to figure out what to do with that. Also, let me go back real quick because I totally forgot to talk about this. So when we irrigate in beds that don't have irrigation, we do this thing called, it's like an Oya. A lot of people know about them, but if you're not familiar with them, this is basically what it is. It's just a terracotta pot that is buried into the soil with a cap over top. You fill it up with water, and then it will release out water as needed to the bed to provide some of that irrigation. Now for us, we end up going with those terracotta wine chillers that were like big in like the 90s and 2000s. I find them at the thrift store and then just repurpose them here. I have not found them at the thrift store in a while, and I think that's because I gave away my secret, but they work really great. We put them kind of like in our berry patches. We put them obviously in our medicine beds. If I find more, we're probably going to put them in these beds I'm about to show you. They don't 100% solve the problem unless you have them all over, but they do help, especially in those very, very, very hot days where you can't run out every so often to like do your watering. So it's just something to consider adding to your infrastructure of your beds as you grow, because they really do kind of just buy you a little time, if you know what I mean. Anywho, so last but not least, in our inside disco garden, we have these two beds. This bed over here, which looks barren right now, was broccolini, salads, and then regular broccoli, which I'll show in a minute. But we have since reseeded it with bunching onions around the outer edge, and then parsnips and salsify, which I have not seen grow yet. So it's a little disappointing. I know it takes a long time to germinate. We'll see how this all turns out. But I'm hoping to get parsnips and salsify. Salsify tastes like oysters, which Nick and I are northern East Coast, live by the Chesapeake Bay. Oysters were a part of life. So since we don't really have 100% awesome access to that, that's where we were hoping to get it out of the plant. So we're hoping it grows. We'll see what happens. Over here is our pumpkins, which look beautiful, but they are not doing well. I'll just be honest. Every time a pumpkin forms, it just goes kaput. This is definitely the cucumber beetle, squash bug. This is where they be hanging at the club. You know what I'm saying? But it definitely is working great as kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a bait crop, I guess, because all of those bugs are coming over here. As you can see, look. All over the place. They all come over here and kind of leave some of our other plants sort of alone. But see, there's already one that just died. See what I mean? Like it like, where is it? It just dies. Sucks. Anyway, but in this bed we filled it with nasturtium. We filled it with chamomile. I ended up putting teddy bear sunflowers kind of in these open areas, and then the pumpkins along these grates right here. Looks like the teddy bear flowers are about to pop off, and that is going to look beautiful. I can't wait for that. And then over here is our proverbial broccoli, which we actually just harvested yesterday and ate it for dinner, and it was phenomenal. Like we've never grown broccoli before, and so this was a fun experiment that ended up working out really good. And as you can see, it didn't really, I mean, it was completely fully open, exposed, and it didn't really get anything from bugs, which is kind of baffling, but it worked out. Now we're just waiting on these little side buds, because like you can eat the little side buds. So that should be kind of exciting. And then at the tip of that bed, we have our, which I pulled this sucker out. Why you keep going up on him? Anyway, we have our bay laurel, which this is year 2. We overwintered it. It's not doing as good, but it's all new growth. So we're pretty excited about that. Yeah, so that is essentially the outside garden. Now, I could go on and show you the exterior of the club, what we got rocking behind the red door, so to speak, but maybe that'll be a different video because this might already be kind of long. At any rate, I'm so glad that you got a chance to come on inside the club, see what we've got rocking this year. I'm hoping to do more videos like this as time permits. I do a lot over on Instagram, but I'm really looking to do some more informal, long format, kind of just walk with me kind of videos on this channel. And yeah, we'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. If you do like this kind of stuff, let me know. Let me know what you like, what you want to learn about. I'm here to help you. I want you to get out on that dance floor and dance with nature, because it, woo, I almost got a little emotional. It can change your life. It changed my life. Why am I getting emotional? Nonetheless, it can change your life. Mother Nature gives so much abundance for free. We just have to learn how to dance with it, and that's what the Disco Garden is all about. So I'm here to help you reinvigorate that youthful child inside of you where you weren't afraid of nature, and you explore and you experiment and you see the beauty that is all around you. Why am I getting emotional? At any rate, I'm gonna end it here. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.